Timelie is the only puzzle game I've played where you can be a cat. So far, every puzzle game with a cat has been a favorite of mine, which includes an extensive list of 2 games, Timelie and The Talos Principle. Of course, with this being a puzzle game, your main goal is to solve puzzles, and you collect these artifacts that fill up a clock. There's really no meaning to it that's given. It's really vague. We'll get into the story later. But within the puzzles, you have these blue orbs and red orbs that you have to collect. Blue orbs allow you to use your powers, one of which is time manipulation, where you can reverse things backwards in time. And red orbs do the same thing, but you can't control what they reverse. But it isn't easy being the cutest orb collector in town, because you have robots trying to capture you. But we don't know why the robots are trying to do this in the first place, but we're here for the puzzles, not the story. What makes this game unique from other puzzle games is that you can control time from moments that you've already played through. So if you want to go back a couple of seconds, you can do that just in case you got caught or made a mistake. And later on, you'll meet a cat, and in true cat fashion, the cat only likes you when it knows it can use you to its benefit. But the cat does give you access to its meow ability, so that way it can distract a robot while you slip on by and pull a lever for a door or whatever the puzzle needs you to do. You do control the girl and the cat, so you have to make sure both of them survive and make it to the end. So that can complicate puzzles even more, but it adds a nice challenge. Once you solve a puzzle, you can watch the replay of your actions and how you solve the puzzle. It's rather useless, so you can just skip it. What's cool about having this time mechanic and 2 controllable characters is that you can set up actions by playing with time. It's kind of like Doctor Strange doing a seizure trip by seeing all the different timelines that you can go through. So, for example, you can have the cat go to a spot and meow to distract a robot. Then you can go back in time and control the girl to go past the robot because the cat's actions are already in motion because you did them and set them up before. So it allows you to focus just on the girl or cat at a time. Each chapter introduces a new mechanic to play with and with a different style of puzzles that you have to go through. For example, one of them has the levels deteriorating, so it forces you to make progress within the puzzle before the floor falls out beneath you. Speaking of time, there's also a restriction on how long you can be within a puzzle, and you can see how much time you've taken up at the bottom of the screen with the time bar. Usually you'll never have a problem with this except for maybe some of the last levels because those require you to be really economical with your movements, else you're going to run out of time. And if you do run out of time, you just have to redo some actions to make it more optimized or just redo the entire thing if you really screwed up. There's not many of them where you have to be careful of how you move, and the very last levels were cool because they were a type of puzzle that I've never seen before, probably because it only works within this game's mechanics. For the difficulty of the levels, there were some mind-bender puzzles that made me think outside the box. However, there wasn't anything overwhelmingly difficult that required a Jimmy Neutron brain blast. Most are hard enough to think about and not blow through all of them. If you want an extra challenge, there are relics that you can collect throughout the game that require you to solve puzzles in a certain way. For example, one of them might have you solve a puzzle without using a meow. Some of them you might get on the first playthrough depending on how you play, while others might need another run through. But you can always go back to a particular level that you didn't get a relic on, that way you don't have to play through the entire game again. Now it's about time that we talk about the game's story. There isn't any. It's too vague to get a clear idea of what's happening. The only things that are clear are the robots are trying to terminate you and the cat. You have the ability to control time by a limited amount, and the cat is cute. So of course there's a lot of questions that aren't answered within the game, like why are the robots after you? Who are you and the cat? How did you get the powers? And yeah, none of this is answered. So if you're looking for a story with your puzzle game, don't look for it here. Outside of the main plot, we do see a cute bonding develop between the girl and the cat, and there's also a few moments that tickle your heartstrings. That's the most story that you're going to get out of this game. There is one thing though, and it's these symbols that appear at the end of each chapter, but they're very vague. There's nothing that indicates what they mean or what they're for. So anything is just a theory, since literally nothing is given to say what they are. If you collect all the relics, you do get a bonus cutscene that reveals a bit more of the story, but honestly it raises more questions than answers. The music is nice and calming while evoking emotion when needed. The sound effects do their job, same thing with the graphics. I do like the color palette that they use for the graphics though, it looks nice. Timelie is a very cute and fun game. I enjoyed it. It's really just puzzles with enough story to give you a reason to solve them. The only problem I did have with it was this bug that happened within the hub of the game. It occurred twice and it just wouldn't let me go into the door that leads to the puzzles. Luckily, the good old-fashioned restarting the game fixes it. And I won't lie, within this game's 4-hour playtime, it played with my heart like a damn fiddle. But the game didn't hear a bell and took me to round 2 and scrambled my brain with the Hell Loop DLC. To access them, go to any chapter in the hub and press the down arrow to see them. The main game was just the foreplay, and this DLC is when shit gets hardcore, where you'll need to unlock your inner masochist Einstein. Movements need to pretty much be perfect. It feels like there's only one way to solve it with near exact step-by-step movements. It gets even more difficult in the final chapter of the Hell Loop levels, where they're in the style of the game's last levels. I won't spoil it, but if you know, then you can picture how difficult it is to plan out those ones. It can get a bit tedious having to keep backtracking those puzzles, especially if you just need to make a minor adjustment. Overall, it's just a bunch of bonus puzzles that are more challenging, and they use the same mechanics as the main game, just in more challenging and unique ways. If you do manage to beat it, then you learn the girl and the cat's names. Besides that, there's no other story elements given in the DLC. That's it for this one. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching. See ya.